I met him in 2007 in Brixton in his home, in a satsang there. And it was one of these love at first sight kind of moments that I'd never experienced before. Meeting someone that just, love just starts to pour out of you. That's never happened to me before. So it was quite a profound meeting, kind of one of these events in your life that you know that your life is going to change forever. And it really did, in the most profound, beautiful, godly way. There was just a sea of people and an empty chair. And I didn't know anything about satsang or gurus. My culture doesn't, or my upbringing didn't inform me about any of that stuff at all. But I found myself going there and had no idea what I was about to go. But I see this room full of people. There's absolutely no space whatsoever. And yet this one of the guys says, come. And sitting right next to Guruji. And I was like, there's no space. And he was just like, come. And so I just went, and this tiny little space opened up, and I was sitting there like this. And I never forget this first time that I had no idea. I hadn't watched a YouTube, seen a photo, nothing. So this first time was very impactful, that Moojibaba just walked in from the door and to his seat. The colors, the smell, the presence, and this was the first time I experienced presence. I didn't know that at the time. Now I can tell you that maybe that's what it was. It was just like there was just an energy that moved into the room, like an undeniable presence. And I remember he sat down and I was looking up and I was just like, what is this? You know, meeting someone that has such an impact on you. And I experienced love inside. Like I just felt love, and he didn't want anything from me. I've never met anyone like that now either. You know, it was just no expectation of an exchange or anything. He just had everything to give. Those were the most fun time. I mean, it's still fun, but and it's always been fun. But those times were especially special because there was no electricity, no water. We were all city folk, and we came ready to do what we didn't know. And the land was full of, it hadn't been lived in at all for many, many, many years. So it was full of brambles. I remember the first time we came ready to do something, and the ruins was full of brambles, and we came with our garden scissors, ready to take on the brambles. And that was our first lesson, that we needed help. So yeah, back then it was fun. Guruji was in a very small caravan, very, very small. And the rest of us were all in tents. So the first things we were doing was just like we would have to hoe out platforms for our tents. We were all on land care then, because we had to free all the trees and the ruins from brambles. So we'd all go out and just pull the brambles out, and it was such a beautiful satsang. We all kind of took it like that we were pulling out, you know, the ego and all these kind of things, and coming back with all scratches on, and living very, very simply. Very, very simply, having showers. I remember Prema built the first toilet. She single-handedly dug a hole for the toilet. That was our first toilet. And we would actually have water from Buddha Pond. That was, we would go and get our water and shower with that. So it was very, very basic. The ruins didn't have a roof. So we would come together with Moojibaba, and we'd make a fireplace there, stars all above us. And I remember when Omi came, music arrived in Sahaja. So we would sit together, play music, Guruji would give satsang. Very, very precious time. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful time. No, and it reminds me of, the story is coming because I feel it's really indicative of what happened then. Because when I remember the first year that I was working as Guruji's PA in Tiruvannamalai, what would happen is I would run down to the rice mill, like get on the bike, drive through the field, Arunachalam in the background, and then get to the rice mill and then be waiting there for when he would arrive. But on this particular day, I was doing the usual routine, getting ready to run out, and on this day he said, Lakshmi, wait for me today. and it felt a bit weird, like it was a very unusual request, but of course, happily, I went downstairs and was waiting on my bike for him. And he got dressed, and I remember him walking down. I think he was wearing white that day, short sleeve, walking down the stairs and then coming ready for satsang. And he gets on his bike and it doesn't start. And there are 3 times he's attempting to start the bike. It just does not start. And then, so he's definitely going to be late. But my bike is there. So we all jump on my bike and drive off again through the field. Arunachal in the background. And I'm saying to Guruji, Guruji, you know everything. And he says, no, I know nothing. And since then, honestly, this is what Sahaja has been. Like, I feel from that space, Sahaja came. Like, he knew nothing, like nothing has been planned, and yet all of this beauty has come out of that space. And that's how he's always approached everything, from that space. I think that feeling came very, 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 very early on. I have to say it came from the beginning, because what makes Sahaja so magical is that it's been built by a living awakened master and those of us that have come to learn from him. So the whole space has been built on our satsang, with our satsang. So from the very beginning, that relationship has been there, with the land as well, this deep respect and love for the land, and the people that came, and everyone always came at the right time. And to have this kind of interaction with Guruji that's now shaping the ashram that you see today, it started back then already. There's been a lot of growth, definitely, because I remember that when we all came, actually predating Sahaja even, I'm not so proud of this, but like, I remember being in Tiru and a whole bunch of us that are still here today, but I remember Guruji saying to us, if I wasn't here, would you guys love each other? Would you guys still be together? And I remember we were all looking around, we spoke about it afterwards and since then, that we all looked around at each other and we couldn't say that. And now I could definitely say that, of course. And what happened when we first came here, everyone comes with their stuff, you know, and how they were brought up, their conditioning, you know, their person, their ego. And for a while we were bashing those against each other, you know. So I feel Guruji was so patient with us, but he was very much always side by side with us. So nothing was really allowed to grow in any kind of egoic way. So it was cut very quickly. So as a sangha, we came in quite, I would say, quite dense, and have become more and more subtle as time has gone by. And what's so beautiful, I find, is that those that are coming in now, they don't have to start where we started. It's almost like the consciousness has evolved enough that those that come in can just hold, they just slip into that same stream of consciousness, and then we continue to grow in subtler levels of understanding, which means for me more love and openness and kindness. And so we're bound together in a way that it's very unusual, but it's very natural. It actually should be very common, but unfortunately I don't know if it's so common, but it definitely exists here. Our relationship with the village is beautiful. We love the village, and that was a very beautiful thing from the beginning. Moojibaba's always said that we're visitors here, and it was very important for him that we always moved with utmost respect and love, and they love Moojibaba because he goes to the village and he'll go and speak to everyone in the villages, and all the different shops we go to, Moojibaba goes, and he has a direct relationship with each one. And they come to Sahaja as well, and the beautiful thing is to see Portuguese people that come, they have such a beautiful heart. So it's quite an easy match, actually. It's quite an easy match because I think it's very obvious the love that's here and the love that's in them. They can really appreciate what's happening here without really understanding anything of Guruji's pointings. It's one of the things that I found very beautiful. One farmer that lives nearby, he was here right in the beginning. He was helping us a little bit. His dad died recently, and when he was on his deathbed, Guruji was asked to pray for him, and they made this prayer for him. Guruji made this prayer for him, and his name's Silva. His daughter was, as he was passing, was reading Guruji's words to him, and this was without ever coming to satsang, you know. And then Guruji landed up going for lunch with the whole family, and the way that they received him without ever coming to satsang or being in that connection with the teachings, they knew who he was. They had felt the miracle of who he is. So a lot of the village, they know that there's something very special about Moojibaba. They might not be able to pinpoint what it is, but they all come with such love and respect to him. And of course we just embrace them fully as the ones that took us in. I would say my life started when I met Moojibaba, because prior to that, maybe I'd have moments of happiness, which maybe I would even call was more like excitement than genuine happiness. And I feel I was born angry. I was just really angry a lot of the time. And now I would say happiness and joy is a natural feeling inside. Like it's just, and it's not excited. I don't wake up excited, but I wake up happy and grateful. And if I get angry, it's like, whoa, I haven't experienced that in a long time. So these kind of things give me a little bit of a reference of how much things have changed. I feel that there's a capacity that I've learned from Moojibaba to kind of keep the mind really open, not to close down around certain ideas. And that in itself has been such a gift, because it means you can meet life and meet people, meet different situations with such openness. You can learn from everything then. Whereas before maybe I had really strong ideas which shut a lot of people and maybe valuable lessons out of my life, you know. So yes, I feel I've changed, and I feel like in the sangha, the beautiful thing about living together in this way, and not even living together, people around the world that are in the same teaching as we are, is that we see it in each other. We see when the being and God is reflecting and shining through one another's life. And sometimes it will happen in this one more, and that will elevate everyone up together. And then it'll happen in this one and we'll all elevate together, you know. So it's a very beautiful way to live together, to discover the being inside ourselves, to discover the space and God inside of ourselves, and see it in each other. Moojibaba, I've heard him say many times that this time in Monte Sahaja is one of the best of his life. So he loves Sahaja. I mean, one of my favorite things is to watch Moojibaba move around the land in his buggy. He's involved in every project that happens here. And you can tell that. You can tell every space you go into, you can tell that it is imbibed with his presence. He often says how he will go into a space and sit there. And this is a beautiful thing to watch, actually, how he sits there and the space starts to speak to him. And he starts to carve out the space as, you know, by the time he's done, it's as if it's always been there. So he's having a relationship with the space. So he never sits down and plans it with an architect. Or maybe that might happen, but what comes out of it is this exchange with the land. So he's very much present with the land and inside the land and in communion with the land. Sometimes I've heard him speak about how God speaks to him through the wind and the trees, and and so through these different movements, he's always in communion with God, and it's through that Sahaja is being built. So yeah, he loves Sahaja, and he spends his days when he's in Sahaja kind of moving about, and then again, the people aren't separate from that. The people are a part of that growth and that communion. So as he's moving along the land, he'll meet this one or meet that one, and it's exactly always perfectly timed. Why he went to go and do this small thing was actually to meet this one. So it's very obvious that his life is moved from an inner core of divinity, really.